Hey guys, this is Stu. This is the second of one of two inbox reviews I've done today. Battle of Britain Day, 15th of September 2015, which, as we all know, today marks the 75th anniversary of the day that was actually very decisive in turning the battle to our favour. So as a fitting sort of inbox review, I thought I'd do as a second inbox review the new retooling of Airfix's 148th Supermarine Spitfire Mark 1. The added advantage with this one is that I've had a look through it. The detail on this is absolutely amazing. Airfix have certainly done their research this time. And if I just adjust the camera there, sorry guys. I have to say I've not got the Tamiya tooling of this, but to be honest with you, this is one of the best Spitfires I've actually seen on the market so far. It only recently came out around about 3 or 4 months ago, and along with the retooled Hurricane. Now I know Phil Flory's already done an inbox review on it and he raves about it, and to be honest with you, having looked at it, I can understand why. If it's anything like the Hurricane I'm currently building on the Battle of Britain group build, I am going to thoroughly enjoy this. It is a beautifully produced kit. That's all I'm sorry if I'm raving on about this, but it really is, guys. In fact, you'll see so for yourself. So let's get on with the inbox review. First off, though, as we all know, the Spitfire was one of the most iconic aircraft of the Second World War. It was one of the most massively produced and basically served in very much all the theatres of the Second World War, right from Dunkirk up until the very last day of the war. Okay, and there were about 24 marks made of it. And the last one actually flew on the last mission in around about 1957. Okay, anyway, as I say, let's get on with the review. As you can see, there's a beautifully reproduced picture of Pilot Officer, I think it is, it's a bit of a mouthful, I will tell you, he's got a very long name. Where are we? Let me see, it's Pilot Officer Osgood Villiers Hanbury. You try saying that when you're pissed. But no, he was one of the guys who basically saved this country's skin. So I think we got a lot to owe him, as many of his other colleagues who didn't come back. And as I say, it was well known for being a pilot's aircraft. It handled beautifully, very effective, and was feared by most of the actual Luftwaffe pilots. Hence the phrase Achtung Spitfire, as it were. And when asked by Adolf Galland what he would like as a new aircraft, he said, "Give me a squadron of Spitfires," and you can imagine how that went down. Anyway, let's get on with the review. As you can see here, the kit indicates 3 different options, which I shall run through in a minute. The box art represents Osgood's Spitfire attacking a typical Geschwader of Uncle 111s over Kent, well, I would assume. It's the summer of 1940. And if anybody wants to know what the kit number is on this box, I'll put it in front of you there. It's A05126. So if you want to pause that and make a note of the number, by all means do. Okay, guys? Right. On the side here, as I say, you've got the 3 colour options. One is of Osgood's actual aircraft, another with a training unit in mid-1941 at West Hampton, and another one basically which was the first squadron to equip with the Spitfire, based at Duxford in 1938 with 19 Squadron, which is the one I may well do. Anyway, and then on the side here, you've got all the computer generated views of the detail on the kit itself. Okay, alright, let's have a look and see what we've got inside. First off, we go through the instruction sheet. So I'm just going to put the box up the top here, if you'll bear with me, guys. Here we go. And familiar little indicators on instructions now: not to eat it, how not to sniff it, how not to paint it, whatever. Okay, and Then you've got the familiar symbol layout inside. Okay, and then first off is the construction of the actual cockpit itself. You've got the side panels, obviously, for the aircraft with some of the internal workings in. I think this is basically some of the trying to think now. Not a rudder lever, it's one of the, oh, I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. But as you can see there, it's fully detailed, as you can see. Very well thought out. You've even got the construction of the actual cockpit floor and the rudder pedals. Okay, and the actual control column itself. Okay, then you put the control column to the side part, lower part of the fuselage, add the control column. That's how she should be sitting at the top there. And then basically add the other half of the internal part of the cockpit, firewall to it, and then seat goes in. You do have the added option of putting the pilot in or not at all. I won't be. And then you've got the back internal framework which goes on there as well. Now it's also indicating you should cut a slight slice here. I think that's dependent on which version of the Spitfire you're doing, because it's got 3 different glass panels, as it were, for each different Mark of 1 of Spitfire. Then you add the internal framework to the side of the fuselage, or the cockpit tub, and after you've done that, the rear oxygen bottle goes in. I mean, this is how good the detail is on it, guys. So accurate. And you have the advantage of having the slide door opened as well, which you can see here. Okay, which is probably what I'm going to do. Add the 2 fuselage halves together. Then you put the front column on. Now there is one of 3 versions depicting on whichever mark you're doing of the Spitfire Mark 1. And then you're going on to the wing panels themselves. Again, it gives you the option of having the gun panels opened or closed. Okay, if you do, you need to cut them out. Alright, drill a little hole in there for a stand if you want it in flight mode. Then you've got the internal workings of the undercarriage bay going in, as you can see here and here. And you've got the actual lever which holds the actual undercarriage and gives you the option of whether you want it down or up. Another part, the internal working of the wing frame, as you can see there. Then you've got the construction of the .303 inch Browning machine guns if you want the gun bays open as though it's been maintained. So you've got that option. So superb detail, as you can see there, adding the ammunition packs, etc. Then putting the upper and lower half of the wings on. Okay, so you've got the wings constructed. Then obviously put the fuselage onto the wings. Then assembling the tailplanes. And it just shows you the correct dihedral angle of what to put the tailplanes on. Then you add the rudder and the elevators to the wings. Then the lower part, the nose up. Construction of the radiator, air inlet. Obviously you put that onto the wing. Then the air inlet which goes on the other side. And the radiator coolant, I think, which goes on the front there. There we go. Next up, you've got the option of having the undercarriage up if you want it in flight mode, or down if you just want it sitting, which is probably more than likely what I'm doing. And it gives you an indication of what degree and angle to put the undercarriage at to get the dihedral right. Again, with the airspeed indicator, you've got one of 2 options, which is the early version or the latter. Again, with the adding the exhausts, you've either got the early version or the latter. And then obviously you've got the air screws, propeller, the early de Havilland 2 twin prop, which is probably the one I'm going to do, or the latter 3 prop. And then you add the gun sight. Again, you've got the option with the cockpit glass and front part of the cockpit panel, whichever option you're choosing. I mean, I'm probably going to go for the early version, which is this one here with the slightly flatter cockpit panel. Okay, and then obviously you've got the option of having the lower part, the undercarriage, the gun bays open if they're being maintained, and the upper part. Alright, again with the Air radio mast, you've got one of the two versions, early or latter. So, and then the first colour option you've got, and the colour call out, is obviously Pilot Officer Oscar Villiers-Hanbury's 602 Squadron aircraft, which was based at West Hampton in Sussex, August 1940. Okay. You do have a separate sheet for the other two colour options. The other one being, if I'll get this one here, Spitfire of an operational conversion unit, which was number 57, based at Hawarden in Wales, mid 1941. Now that's quite a colourful colour scheme, that one. Very nice, that one. So I might get that one on the latter one. And this is the version that I'm more than likely going to do, is the very first squadron to equip with the Spitfire, which was 19, based at Duxford. And I like it because of the black and the white and the aluminium. So there's a nice variety there. So that's the construction phase put through. Let's have a look at the goodies themselves, as it were. And there's a mass of them, I can tell you. Let's put the decal sheet over there. It all comes in one big bag, which is something I don't agree with Airfix doing. But there you go. Take them out. Right, upper front part of the panel of the cockpit. Now you've got one of two or three versions. The other one's on a separate sprue. So you've got to do your research there, guys. Otherwise you could end up putting the wrong one on the wrong aircraft. You've got the twin rotor de Havilland propeller there. The latter one is here, and there is a third option as well. Okay, part of the internal framework of the actual aircraft skin and cockpit frame. Look at, I mean, again, look at the massive detail on it. It's absolutely superb, guys. It really is. And the way they've caught the panel lines and the lower part of the nose is very nicely done. I'll just put that in the light. Really nice. So there you go. Alright. That's sprue 1. Sprue 2. Again, you've got the two options of the exhausts. The latter Mark 1 or the early version. Okay. Internal framework, which you can see there, nicely reproduced. Lower part of the floor. And then you've got the radiator air inlet there. Again, there's nice panel detail on there. And you've got the rear firewall. Okay. Was there anything else I was going to show you? Surprisingly, on the undercarriage, it is a little bit sparse. That's the only thing I was a bit disappointed with, to be honest with you. They could have put a little bit more detail. But there again, you can add it yourself with some wire for the old brake cables, etc.